Cool, right on. Perfect. Welcome. I am Alicia. You probably know that already. And I am a non-monogamy or non-monogamous, both of those things, relationship coach. And I work with people around their relationships, their sexuality, all the things that come with open relating. And honestly, like I work with people who are monogamous, non-monogamous. I get a lot of people who have some sort of like stagnation or disconnect happening in their relationships, and they think, well, maybe opening our relationship is the answer and the way to fix this. And I work with a lot of people who are in that situation as well. And some of them open up their relationships and some of them don't, because that just wasn't what they actually needed. I work with swingers, kinksters, polyamorous folks, monogamish folks. I'm gonna post this in the event.
Monogamish sort of sound like the successor to Blackish or Mixish or something that
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
your real sex or something.
right. Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of identify as monogamish and like not quite open or not quite necessarily polyamorous. They're like monogamous, but like with a couple of extra steps. There we go. I got it posted in that event so that other people can find it. Perfect. Okay. Well, what I'm going to be doing is sharing the 5 steps that I believe an open relationship needs to feel secure and to feel the sense of freedom in it that many of us crave and desire. And it's really important to me to share this information so that people don't waste their time trying to make non-monogamous relationships feel secure and safe and fun by using the advice that's given for monogamous relationships. A lot of the relationship advice out there is focused on monogamy as the source of security, that like being monogamous is the thing that's going to keep you feeling safe. Often doesn't work out that way. And so I'm going to give you some tools that are amazing for all types of relationships, because when you're using them, you're creating security with the actual people that are in the relationships rather than the structure of the relationship being the source of security. I will, at the end, totally open up for questions, and I'll answer all sorts of questions. I'm just going to fly through, give you the 5 keys, and then answer questions. Often when couples are opening their relationships, they're doing it from a monogamous structure and mindset. I think most of us come from a monogamous mindset because we live in a monogamous culture. And so while they might be completely on board intellectually, they have got it figured out. They know what they want to believe. And a lot of times their nervous system is just absolutely not on board with that. And is like, as soon as things happen, their body freaks out, and there's anxiety and jealousy and resentment and arguments over things that never existed before. And what was supposed to be a fun, amazing solution oftentimes starts to feel like a bigger problem, or starts to feel like it's causing more problems. The freedom that you were after starts to look further and further away because the relationship doesn't feel secure. You might be scared to go out and do anything that might rock the boat. Another thing I see often is people coming together with the idea that they will have an open relationship, like from the start of their relationship. And as the feelings start to deepen, and as they fall in love and start to have like a lot of creating an attachment to that person, the fears and insecurities start to get bigger as well. Like as soon as they start investing in that person, then it starts to get scary that you might lose your investment in this person that you really want to keep in your life. And that's when their relationship patterns start to come into play. And without the long-term foundation that a lot of people have, it can be hard to find the security that they're craving. And so these, the tools that I'm going to give you guys are really, really helpful for building that level of security. So the very first, and you know, these aren't going to be in any particular order. They're not like I numbered them, but not because one has more value than number 5. So the first one is your desire. Like, what's your North Star, right? Being really clear on why you're non-monogamous, why you have an open relationship, what is it that you want to get out of it. All the communication and connection tools in the world can only go so far if you don't know or can't express what it is that you desire. So why do you want an open relationship? Why do you want to be in a relationship with the person or the people that are in front of you? Why is it worth it to you to keep going when things start to get really sticky? What is your guiding light? Your personal desires, the ones you hold dear and aren't tied up in someone else's desires and expectations. I always recommend journaling this out. Getting really, really clear on what it is that you want, why you're doing it. When things start to get hard, why are you pushing through them and getting to the other side? And when you can articulate that, not only for your partner, but for yourself, it forms the foundation of why you're even doing this, right? Like for some people, it might be sex. For some people, it might be another form of relational security or just having lots of people in their lives. There's so many different reasons that someone might have an open relationship, and digging in deep, I think, is vital. The next key, the second key that I like to share is autonomy or disentangling your relationship. There's so much pressure and expectation for romantic relationships to be a person's main source of everything. Our partner is supposed to be our best friend, our caretaker, our financial co-signer, our lover, our hobby buddy, our party person, our co-parent, all the things. They have to do everything and then show up as like a super romantic, passionate person who desires you all the time. This doesn't leave a lot of room for individuality, mystery, discovery, desire, polarity, other partners. So yeah, like feeling comfortable in your on your own, in your own social circle, with your own hobbies, your own things that you like to do. This is super, super essential to feeling that security and freedom. And it works both ways. If your partner's sitting at home pining for you, chances are you're going to be feeling some guilt or even some resentment if they are relying on you to be their sole source of support and entertainment. So yeah, I think it's really important to if you are in a monogamous relationship and opening up, or if you have spent a long time with your partner, really disentangling and having each of you having your own, yes, your life overlaps and intertwines and you have a lot of shared things, but also having your own life separate that you can come together and talk about. And that'll make it a lot easier for everybody if you are going out on dates or having sex with other people or just taking on a new hobby. Checking for comments real quick. Excuse me. So the third key is to own your fears. When you can name your fears and accept your fears, shine light on them, you start to take away their power. When you share them with your partners in a safe container, meaning that they are received without a lot of judgment and shame attached to that reception, the fears start to lose their impact on your nervous system. It starts to regulate. It starts to see the person in front of you as someone safe to share with. Honestly, shame is like the real killer here. It's what leaves your primal brain in a panic to preserve your life. When you hide what's scaring you and what you're scared will happen, where your insecurities are, it feeds into those fears and makes them bigger and bigger. When you try to push them off to the side, ignore them, hide them, when you're not acknowledging them, they become really big and they take on a life of their own, and they can really stomp out the the the, the way your relationship should naturally feel really delicious and wonderful. Oftentimes fears can just run right over that. So owning your fears, acknowledging your fears, accepting them, writing them down, sharing them with your partner, they go away so much faster. And the other piece of that is digging deep underneath, like, what's behind those fears. Is it something that happened in your childhood? Is it something that happened in past relationships? Is it something that happened in this current relationship or relationships that is driving that fear? The fourth key. Fourth key is to actively work towards your growth and your healing, discovering where your beliefs around relationship and where your reactions in relationship come from, and if they're in alignment with who you are at the core, or if they are just conditioned responses or leftover self-protection mechanisms from past experiences. This goes so far in creating security and feeling secure in yourself. When you, I honestly believe that if you aren't growing, you're dying. Like, growth is essential for everything in life. We only have this life and we need to make the best of it. And staying in the same patterns and the same fears and just living life like we're 15, 20, 30, whatever, like just staying stuck in one spot is often, it has the illusion of being safe because change can be scary, but it's not safe because everything around you is changing and growing. And if you aren't changing and growing with it, eventually those fears will catch up with you, right? I highly recommend learning about your attachment style and learning about your partner's attachment style. I would highly recommend reading Polysecure by Jessica Fern. Fantastic book for anybody, any type of relationship. If you have any romantic relationships, read that book. It's fantastic. Another thing I encourage is learning what your love languages are and sharing those with your partner. What are the things that make you feel loved and secure? And tell them, because they might not know. Give them details of what they can do. When you're feeling jealousy or envy, look deeper than what your partner's doing in this moment that's activated those feelings. Look beyond, I don't know, I saw a text message come in from someone else and now I'm feeling jealous. Well, why is that a thing that makes you feel jealous? Dig deeper. I often see jealousy as a flag post to, or like a warning sign to let you know, like, here's something that needs to be excavated and really looked at and healed. Yeah. The fifth key to feeling safe and secure and having lots of freedom in your open relationship is to have a plan. This is an agreement, a flexible agreement, but an agreement about things like the structure of your relationship, time management, finances, sexual safety and health. If one of you is thinking that you're in an open relationship purely for random sexual encounters, and the other one of you thinks this is a polyamorous relationship where you're free to have as much emotional depth as you want, then there's going to be some friction and problems that pop up because you might be using the same words, but defining them differently and really having different meanings behind them. I find in the world of ethical non-monogamy, there are a lot of terms that are used that people have different definitions of or just aren't aware of. And so that can cause a lot of confusion. It can cause a lot of miscommunication. And so being really clear on what it is you're doing and what the structure is. Having deep conversations about that too, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to have the same desire or want the exact same thing as your partner. What it means is that both of you should be aware of each other's desires and have an agreement on where you're coming together on that, where the negotiation lies. You also might want to have a plan. Oh, you definitely want to have a plan about your sexual safety. What are your personal boundaries? How often are you going to get tested? What kind of questions are you going to ask potential sexual partners? What kind of barrier usage do you expect for yourself, for any of your partners? Be really clear about this. Have a plan. And obviously, everything is flexible. Everything is up for negotiation and can be changed. But when you've made an agreement, stick to it. Definitely. Super important. Another piece of that is finances, right? If you are nesting partners, if you live with the person that you are in an open relationship with, be sure that you've budgeted in money for STI testing, condoms, hotel rooms if necessary, dating funds, sex clubs if that's your thing, anything else that you wouldn't be spending in a typical monogamous relationship. That can be a real area of friction, especially if you are each making assumptions that it's going to be something different. Get clear on each other's expectations for time management. It's really easy to assume what things mean when you say have an open relationship, but one of you might think it means you go on dates once a month. The other one might think it means 3 times a week. So be really intentional in making time for your nesting partner or the person that you live with or are in a long-term relationship with. That can easily fall to the wayside when things start to get busy. Be really intentional about, what is the amount of time that you're going to spend on your phone or texting? Are there times that need to be set aside that you won't be doing that? Date times. Are there days of the week that are not ideal or that are ideal? And do you have to work out childcare, things like that? Really important to have a plan. Those 5, I believe, are absolutely essential. Absolutely essential. When you have those in place, then it's just time and experience, right? To feeling secure requires experiencing security. So I want to give you guys a couple of tools that I like to use, that I give to my coaching clients when we are working on this. One is positive proof. Positive proof is really great for if you're feeling jealous or you have insecurities. Make a list. Keep a little Google Keep or some sort of notepad on your phone, and make a list of all the times your partner tells you why they love you, why they want to be with you, when they compliment you, when they say something nice, write it down so that you can go back and look at that. Or when they've done nice things for you, if you're a acts of service person, write down all the times that they go out of their way to do something for you. And just that way, when you are feeling agitated or jealous or insecure or just unsure, you can go back and look at that proof that has been provided to you over time. Because it can be hard to think of when you're feeling uncomfortable. Another one that I really love for building deep, deep, deep sense of security in your nervous system with a partner is eye gazing. When this is often attributed to Tantra, it's sitting in front of your partner and looking them directly in the eyes for several minutes. Start with 5 minutes, maybe 10, set a timer. And it can be really uncomfortable for a lot of people because looking someone directly in the eyes is like the window to their soul, right? So doing some eye gazing can center your system, your heart rate, your breath, everything starts to sync up. Your nervous system starts to sync up with your partner. And your primal animal body starts to recognize that this person in front of you is safe. And I'm safe to share everything that's on my heart, and I won't be shut down or shamed or kicked out of the village and then killed by a tiger. Whatever primal fear your nervous system has. The third one is a wonderful, wonderful communication tool that does the same thing. Like, it really teaches you on a subconscious level that you are safe and secure with the person in front of you. And it's called Desires, Fears, and Loves. I got it from my teacher, Layla Martin. And you, again, set a timer for 2 or 3 minutes. And one partner is the asking partner. The other partner is the answering partner. And the one asking says, what do you desire? Or what do you want? And when the answering partner answers, they just flow, right? Whatever comes up, anything that comes to mind, just say it. And the person asking is not going to comment on it or say, ew, or, oh, I didn't realize that. They're just going to say, thank you. And then they're going to ask the question again, what do you desire? And you do this for a couple of minutes so that you really start to have to dig deep below like the surface things that instantly come to mind. You have to dig a little bit deeper and come up with more answers, and you start to feel more and more secure. And when your timer goes off, switch. Then the asker becomes the questioner. The asker becomes the answerer. The answerer becomes the asker. And you do the same thing again. And then the next question is going to be, what do you fear? Or what are you scared of? And then you answer. And then they ask again, what are you scared of? And then you answer. And when your timer goes off, the person asking the question says, thank you. And that's it. Just thank you. Doesn't have to be a discussion. And the third one is my favorite question. What do you love about me? And again, thank you. What do you love about me? And this is really wonderful because all of your attention is focused on the person answering these questions instead of being focused on how you feel about their answers or what you think about their answers, what your opinion is, or how you would respond if this was a normal conversation. This is just a container set to create safety and security in your relationship. And when you feel that deep sense of security, not only in your relationship, but like within yourself, in your whole body, it becomes so much easier to experience the freedom that you came here for in the first place, to go and do the things that it is you want to do. These are really foundational pieces. I think, to what human beings need to feel secure universally, regardless of their relationship structure, regardless of if they're even in a relationship. Human beings need to feel safe. That's key to being able to thrive in life in general. That's one of the reasons why I like to share this information like this for free and not charge for it, because we all need it. I think we need to do better, and we need to raise the level that humans are doing relationships at and being in relationship with each other. Yeah, yeah. These are really, really important foundations, and there's a lot of nuance to them, right? It's, if you want to know how to tailor them to you and your relationship and the things that are happening in your relationship. I do free, actually, I'm doing free coaching calls right now, like hour coaching calls. So that's a thing that I'm offering. I am going to, if anybody has any questions, I'll totally answer questions. I'm going to look in the chat box here. And if any of you on Zoom have anything that you are curious about or have questions about, you can unmute yourself if that's easier than typing into the chat box. I'm still struggling to figure out the Facebook side of this.
I think in a way there's like so many questions that like how to kind of zero in on the way I've been describing how I feel about it is the idea of kind of openness and wanting to explore while at the same time kind of recognizing I think two things. One, which is like there's a gap between the idea of something and the reality of something. And in part because while this isn't only exclusively about sex, because sex has the notions of fantasy and desire and different versions of how you might consume or kind of enact that, there's like something that like partially like if I were just in theory interested in, I don't know, spelunking, like the distinction between doing all the research and kind of getting into it or watching videos about it or whatever, like at some point I would actually want to go caving. Like versus in this case, like there are many people who never get past the abstraction. So like that's one part of it that I'm thinking about. And then the other is right now is just such a singular time when we're so disconnected that the layers of anxiety about introducing whether it's new people or opening up your bubble just by virtue of it or whatever thing, it just feels like it's a very strange time to be exploring this.
Man, you are so right. There is so many pieces to that, especially in COVID times. I think I've had a lot of people ask, like, how do you start meeting people, right? In a pandemic, right? And while we are living in a time that's like really scary, kind of, we also have this amazing amount of technology. And we're really having to think outside the box and get to know people in different ways, you know? I am a big fan of video dates, huge fan of video dates and sexting. Heck yeah. And then of course, right, like gauging your comfort level, gauging your interaction with people out in the public and the person that you are potentially meeting. Like there's a lot of pieces to pull together. And I think there are some safe ways to meet people, and that is very, very individual. And yeah, there's the first thing you said, like where does the gap get bridged? When does the gap get bridged between thinking about it, talking about it, making all these decisions on what you think you want, and then having the experience, and then the real life feeling that happens when you have that experience? And 90% of the time, I would say that what actually happens is not what you anticipate. And so I am a huge advocate of moving slowly, taking baby steps, having small experiences. I find that very important. One of my favorite examples is my husband and I. We've never been monogamous. We met and we were both committed to being non-monogamous, but we were building a relationship together and had also not done anything on our own before that. So we thought, hey, let's go to a swingers club. Sounds fun. But the first time we went, all we did was go. We went, we danced, we watched people, we talked to people, we got a feel for what it was. And that was more than enough for our nervous systems to go and take a couple of days and like digest everything we had experienced and go, okay, is this something we want to go again? And if we go again, how much do we want to do? Do we want to participate with other people? Second time we went, we did not participate with other people. We just participate, like we played with the two of us in a room where there were other people in separate areas. But so like baby steps, I feel like is so important, because doing anything that is outside of your like realm of like outside of your comfort zone is like, there's a point where you go get overwhelmed, right? Yeah. I don't know if that does that address which it was kind of a question.
Yeah. I mean, I think it addresses the kind of big picture pieces. I think you know, the only tiny thing I would add is that your pandemic kind of answer to the question to me is very much about logistics. Like that's, to me, it's not about it's like less the cognition of like, yeah, it's the same as if I wanted to meet up with new people to date them or to meet up with new friends, full stop. Like there's that level of anxiety just by virtue of this being the period of time that we're in. It's like it makes something that already has, I think, potential either awkwardness or this physical response of anxiety, like maybe it it exacerbates it, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes me think, I have done some masked dates, right? Like first time meeting someone being like a socially distanced masked thing, which first time meeting someone has some anxiety to it alone, but that just like that necessity for keeping things very safe for everyone really slows things down in a way that otherwise might not, and really gives you a chance to go, is this someone I want to like get naked with?
Thanks.
Let's see here. Greg said, I've been struggling with understanding what I want to get out of this. I understand the concept. Ooh, I moved the thing. I understand the concept, feel that this is my authentic orientation, but I'm not feeling the drive to lean into it right now. Yeah. That makes sense. Especially with what we were just talking about, with it being a pandemic and the weirdest year of our whole entire lives. We have nothing to compare it to, nothing to judge it against.
And I like on top of that, like I lost my job back in July.
Yeah.
And then we opened up in August. And we tried that. Not great timing. We didn't do a lot of things that would have allowed us to feel more secure, and ended up backing away from that. So we both acknowledge the fact that we're both still poly, but like there are things we need to like do in order to feel more secure, which is the reason why I'm taking this class.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that makes so much sense. It really does. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of people think that if they aren't out, dating or sleeping with multiple people, then that like they're relationship, like what they've labeled their relationship or what their orientation is no longer valid. And that's just not true. Like you can be polyamorous and have one partner. You can be polyamorous and have no partners. I think what it's more about is the growth and the healing and really a deep understanding of who you are and a level of openness and being able to live and speak authentically from your heart about who you are. And when you find the thing you want to do, you find the thing you want to do. Like creating a label and putting yourself in the box of that label isn't necessary. Just being open to what it is, like what experiences come your way. You know, when the right experience comes along, you can grab a hold of it. Until then, you don't. And you just keep learning and growing and loving. Being committed to non-monogamy is a neat phrase. Oh, you know, I should have put that in the 5 keys. Absolutely. I was committed. I mean, really what that means is I am committed to myself and my desires and my well-being above my romantic relationships, right? And being non-monogamous is really, really important to me. And not even necessarily like having multiple partners, but just having freedom, like the sense, like the internal sense of freedom that I have options open to me. I can go and do the things I want to do, even if I never act on them. I'm committed to having that freedom in my life and having that kind of open, authentic, conscious relationship in my life. Excuse me. Let's see. What do you say to the idea that opening up a relationship is an implicit recognition of something lacking? No, that's what I say. It is not. Absolutely not. I struggle with this idea. There's a concept out there that a lot of people use, and I have a hard time with it because, you know, people say like, you know, one partner can't meet all of your needs. Clearly that is true, right? Like one person, one human being cannot meet all of the needs of another human being. So when you put things like that, though, that does sound like, oh, you aren't meeting my needs. I need to go find someone else to fill this hole that you're leaving. I don't like that because that's not what's happening. I genuinely feel that most of our needs can be met internally or by ourselves, and that all of the ways that other people meet them is just like bonus or icing, like like the way that we love ourselves, in my deepest desire for humanity, that we can all love ourselves in a way that is fulfilling. And yes, we need human connection. So then if we are loving ourselves at the level that we need to be loved, then everybody else's love, anybody else that we're in relationship, their love for us is just like on top of that. It magnifies that and mirrors it back to us.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's so important, I think, to look at the self-acceptance and self-love component when I think so often people are projecting or mirroring or asking for a relationship to do something for them that they really ought to be able to do for themselves first.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I totally agree. Thank you.
Yeah. I think, you know, human beings need connection, right? We need human connection. We need love. We need acceptance. And that all goes back to like a very primal thing. You know, you're born, we can't walk, we can't hunt, we can't feed ourselves. We need someone to do all of those things for us. You know, and we need community to ensure that we all are safe and can stay alive, kind of thing. We're not hunted by wild animals or falling off of cliffs that we didn't see. Community is very helpful for those things. And also, the other side of that is like we're all human. And so we come into life having a need for unconditional love and unconditional acceptance. And we desire for our caretakers to give us that, but they're humans. And so they really can't. They fall short of like the unconditional amount that we need. And when we can start to give that to ourselves and caretake ourselves in a way that fulfills that need, because literally you are the only person who can love you unconditionally, like you and God or source or the universe. But like another human being can't do that because they're trying to do that for themselves. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna take a look here, see if there's any questions over on the FB. No.
I feel like that kind of idea of that self-actualized self, that it almost, I know it's not either intended that way, but or that's what it translates into, but it feels a little like an if-then model. Like if I can get to the point where this is the case for myself and that mindfulness and acknowledgement is so fully realized, then I can kind of do that. I think, anyone who's probably turning up for one of your sessions or workshops or is thinking in this way about it probably is on that trajectory, for sure. But the idea that there's always more work to be done on self. Like, I think those structures and the tools you're talking about certainly make sense for uncovering some of that and sharing that with a partner. And I'm curious whether like there, certainly for me, like cognitive behavioral therapy has been a really interesting kind of set of tools. Do you see, because I feel like especially with couples, it's almost always associated with dysfunction or the devolving of a relationship or something along those lines. Can you talk a little bit about how, I feel like this is a softball, like how do you work with couples, or like what does that translate into?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're right. It's everything is a like a stepping stone, right? It's like you can see where you want to be, but you still have to do the work to get there, and you can still enjoy the journey to get there. And I feel like you're never there, right? Like there's always somewhere else you can go. There's always more growth to happen. And so couples, yeah. So there's a few things that I do. And honestly, usually when people are coming to me, because I'm not a therapist, I'm not a mental health person. Usually when people are coming to me, it's because they see where they're at, they see where they want to be, and need the tools to bridge that divide, right? Sometimes it is coming from a place of lack or dysfunction, and they're not sure how to come together in that. And sometimes they're like, we're good and we want to be better. So it can go either way. And I use most of the same tools either way also, because building security and safety and like really, really, really open, clear communication is like foundational, right? For everybody, regardless. And even if that's like the tools to get them to a place where they feel comfortable opening their relationship, or if it's to get them to a place where they've had an open relationship for 15 years and want to reconnect to each other deeper, or if it's they are wanting to open their relationship because there's so much dysfunction in their relationship and they come to a place where what is best for them is to split up, right? Like all of those things are options, and I've experienced all of them with people. And again, I come back to the same place. I work with them on building safety and security in themselves and with their partner, building really, really clear, open communication tools, which a lot of people, I would say most people communicate well. Like most of us do, but not necessarily in ways that we're heard. or that the other person understands because they grew up in a different family culture with a different type of communication, or they've fallen into a communication, like a pattern of the way that they communicate with each other, and they just can't get out of it, right? So a lot of communication tools, a lot of connection tools, a lot of sexuality tools, if that's the direction they're going. And then I also use some stuff that's similar to internal family systems, reparenting the inner child, pulling together the lost pieces of themselves and creating some wholeness and integration in each individual. I think that is so essential. And I use a lot of breath work too. Man, I love breath work. That's magic. Yeah, and really, like, we figure out what the ultimate desire is, like, where is it that we're going, and then we create a plan for how to get there. And if it shifts, it shifts. Yeah. Let me pop over here and take a look. Like I said, I am offering right now a 1 hour free coaching call to essentially create a plan for your situation. And so if anybody wants to take advantage of that, you can pop over to my website and book an appointment, and I'll post a link somewhere. I gotta find it. Oh, I'll put it in the email with the recording of this video. And that's it. That's what I've got for you. That's the whole show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it's helpful, and they are things that you can take into your relationships and thrive. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.